Hello my paper peeps. Today I want to share with you a surprising new way to embellish your crafting projects. Now, if you're new to my channel, we are currently in the Bohemian holiday collection and we're crafting this DIY scrapbook journal that you can craft for yourself or for a loved one. And what I realized when I was actually putting these embellishments on the book, the blank page wasn't good enough. So if you've purchased this paper line, I have 3 new printables that I will send you via email to help you jazz up those journals just a little bit more, especially if you don't have these metal embellishments. And if you're wondering what to put inside those blank tabs, you can either write your own title or you can use the holiday labels that I included in the paper line. Now, if you're interested in this paper line, I will put a link to that all in the description box below. But for now, let's get started on those surprising new ways to embellish your crafting projects. Now, what I used here was polymer clay. And I just want to make you aware that there are different polymer clays out there. And based on experience and from interviewing some of my friends who are polymer clay enthusiasts, they have found, and I have found myself, that the Sculpey clay, more specifically the Sculpey Premo, I find is superior to creating any of your embellishments for this project. I used some other polymer clays in the past, and I found that all the other ones, even the Sculpey 3 polymer clay, breaks. Now this stuff, as you can see here, I cannot destroy this thing. It's indestructible. And if it's going in your journals, I highly recommend it that you pay the extra $1 to get this one, which is far more superior to the other clays that are out there. The next thing you'll need is this tool right here, or something similar to it, and that is what we use to cut the polymer clay with. You can use, I've seen people use razor blades to cut the polymer clay, anything sharp. You do need some form of a rolling pin. So if you're a baker, would it be wrong for me to say just pull out that rolling pin from your baking supplies? That will work perfectly fine. So without further ado, let's get started here. Now I'm using several colors of polymer clay. I'm using an orange, a white, a deeper yellow, not a bright yellow, but more of your dandelion yellow, and then a translucent polymer clay. Now for the base part of this project, you'll need about 1/4 of an inch off of that first slab of the Sculpey clay. You'll need probably half to a full length of the white clay for much later on, but the white is not part of the base part of this project. So you'll need about, and I'll show you here as I cut up the yellow. So you'll need, it's not half, but I would say 1/4 to maybe 1/16 of an inch of that slab. But depending on how much you want to create, you know, maybe 1/4. Let's start off with 1/4 portion of each of those slabs. Okay, with the Sculpey transparent, you'll definitely need more than 1/4. I would say maybe 3/4 of one of those slabs. So 3/4. So your translucent clay should be about the size of 1/4, I would say, in diameter. And then these other portions, just a little smaller, I would say. And then I cut out a little bit of the white and a little bit more of the orange. And these two at the top here, these will be used for the rind of the orange and then the outer skin of the orange. And what you want to do is just blend these 3, the large translucent portion and then the 2 smaller yellow and orange portions together. So this is what your final melding of colors should look like. Then you take your sharp knife or razor blade and you cut right through the middle. Now to produce the veins of the orange, what you want to do is just roll out your white portion of your clay to anywhere between 1/16 of an inch to about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. When I first tried this one out, I went as far as going 1/16 of an inch or even less than that. And as you can see in this orange here, the veins are almost too thin. So for the purposes of this video, I went to almost a thickness of, yeah, we're looking at almost 1/16 to almost 1/8 of an inch in thickness. Then the veins of your orange are a little thicker and more visible to the eye. And this is where you take 1/2 of that orange. I did try this with a razor blade initially, which was fine, but if you're going to be using polymer clays, I really suggest you invest in one of these tools here. And it's a flexible blade that's specifically made for polymer clay projects. And it just allows you to kind of bend and work around some of those corners. Do you see how that just bends around that corner quite nicely? And then you attach the other half to that. Then what you want to do is repeat that same process several times, making sure that every slice that you make produces equal halves or quarters. If you're new to my channel, my name is Christine, and I love creating DIY scrapbook journal projects that allow me not only to scrapbook my memories, but also journal my thoughts. In addition to that, also add amazing 3D elements that I've just enjoyed creating for my scrapbook journals. I love embellishing, and I've gotten accustomed to actually embellishing on the outside of my journals as well as the inside, but more specifically on the outside where I have these tags and tabs that stick out of the top so that I don't have a lot of bulk within the journal. Now, does that mean that I don't embellish on the inside? Absolutely not. I sometimes go over the top to the point where I actually have to expand my scrapbook journals. So far, if you are enjoying this content, could you do me a favor and stamp that like button so it could spread to the rest of our crafting community? And if you're looking at this and going, heck no, this is way too labor intensive, there's no way I'm creating this, then don't hit anything. But if you are enjoying this, then please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in more tips and tricks on how to jazz up that journal. So this is what your orange should look like once you've added all those veins in there. The next thing we're going to do is create the rind, or the inner portion of the rind. And what I found and what I've seen some people do is they roll it out and then they just roll the actual orange without cutting the edges down. For me, I like actually making sure it's as close to the actual desired width of my orange wheel, rather than rolling it up and then cutting around it while it's rolled up, I find is a little more difficult. See, that works, but I still think it's too thick. It sticks out way too much on that end there. And so I'm just going to cut that off. And some people will cut it off while it's rolled around the wheel, which I find I don't want to do. I'd rather, and I think it's easier if you unroll that rind portion and then eyeball it and cut off the excess. The next thing you do is do pretty much the exact same thing with the skin of the orange and roll it out to your desired length, and then roll it around the wheel to get a general idea of the thickness of what you want. And then I would again unroll it and then eyeball it and cut out your desired width. So now you're done pretty much the hardest part of making these mini oranges. Now here comes the interesting part, which I'll tell you this now, it turned out better when I did the first time. This second time around, you can see here the veins are not completely lined up on the outside or the back side. Here on the front side it is, but on the back side of my orange it's not. So I had to actually, I couldn't pretty much use half of this because it wasn't lined up. But what you want to do is you want to start pulling and rolling and squishing and elongating your mini orange wheel to a point where you actually create a very thin tube. Now, I like differing sizes of orange slices, and so here I attempted to create large as well as small slices, and unfortunately I found that the larger slices did not turn out as well as I would have liked them to. I find that the smaller the orange, the more precise and intricate the orange looks. Bottom line is the big ones did not turn out. The little ones did, the big ones meh. But that's not to say I'm not going to keep them. I will keep them, but I will just hide the portions of the orange that did not work. So as you can see here, I tried to create some larger ones. And then you can see how, because it wasn't rolled out enough, that there's quite a bit of discrepancy. And yeah, like you can see how the veins did not attach. And you'll see that with all the larger pieces that I show you here. But once you roll it out to a smaller cylinder, you see how the veins within the orange actually start to come together. Now, once you've completed your slicing, you can go ahead and place these on some parchment paper and put them in the oven at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. They say that you're supposed to bake it for a minimum of 15 minutes for the first 1/4 inch of clay thickness. Now, if you have thicker pieces, they should be initially baked for about 15 minutes and then an additional 5 minutes and then another 5 minutes, etc., etc. And then once you pull it out of the oven, they cool very fast and you can use them right away. In this case, I wanted to glaze them a bit and I used the Sculpey glaze that you can purchase when you purchase polymer clay. Now, if you don't have Sculpey glaze, you can pretty much use glossy accents if you have that lying around. Now, I could not stop there. I had to make matching leaves for my little oranges, and if you haven't seen my polymer leaf video, then you'll probably want to watch that right here. It's a great video on how to create these easy DIY leaves. So until we see you in my other videos, I hope you have a fantastic week. Make sure you get in that craft room, get down to making some of those hostess gifts and those gifts that you want to give to your family. So Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you in my other videos. Bye!